like to introduce a kind of psalms which are rarely used in our worship. They are imprecatory psalms. We will discuss the reasons why they are seldom used in church and their significance. Let's define the imprecatory psalms. To understand what an imprecatory psalm is, we need to know the meaning of imprecation. What is imprecation? Imprecation is an invocation of judgment, calamity or curse against one's enemies or the enemies of God. Then what is imprecatory psalm? Then imprecatory psalm is a psalm in which the imprecation is a major element. It contains extremely harsh judgments upon the psalmist's enemies. Very often, they are found in laments. Let me give you some examples. You can find them in Psalm 7, 35, 58, 69, 83, 109, 137, 139, and 149. Instead of calling it imprecatory psalm, I think I would give it a better term, psalm of anger or wrath. These sort of psalms, they express vengeful sentiments. I will give you some examples. Add to them punishment upon punishment. May they have no acquittal from you. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living. Let them not be enrolled among the righteous. Happy is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rocks. Oh, that you would kill the wicked, O God, and that the bloodthirsty would depart from me. May his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. May his children wander about and beg, seeking food far from the ruins they inhabit. May his posterity be cut off. May his name be blotted out in the second generation. When we read these passages, many of us find problems with imprecatory psalms. What are the problems? The first problem: how can a spirit of vengeance be reconciled with Jesus' command to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you? The second problem: how can these cries for retribution be as inspired as the other parts of the book of Psalms, which magnify God's character? Then the next problem: how can we apply them to the life and worship of Christians? To answer these questions, I would like to draw your attention to the significance of imprecatory psalms. Imprecatory psalms express an important truth about God. What is it? This truth is God is the judge of the world. This truth about God is a source of hope to the psalmist and to us. Actually, the psalmists do not call for vengeance in an automatic way. Instead, they express their deepest feelings of hatred and aggression towards God, and then they leave everything in God's hand. I give you one example. In Psalm 139, verse 19, the psalmist uttered this verse towards God: "Oh, that you would kill the wicked, O God, and that the bloodthirsty would depart from me." And after he expressed this sort of anger before God, he turned to God and said to God in this way: "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." The psalmist asked God to examine his heart and his thought, and asked God to check whether there is any wicked way in him. So it reflects to us that the psalmist simply vent out and pour out his anger, his aggressions before the Lord. And then he leaves everything, his enemies, in God's hand. This kind of prayer actually allows us to say anything before God. That means to lose imprecatory psalms is to lose something really, really valuable. We need to incorporate imprecatory psalms into our worship. In a liturgical context, imprecatory psalms need to be balanced with other biblical texts which speak of nonviolence as the way to overcome evil. And they need to be balanced with the scriptures that present the vision of an end to violence in the coming of God's kingdom. Finally, imprecatory psalms prevent worship becoming purely upbeat and triumphanistic in a way that detaches worship from the reality of human struggles and sufferings. Derek Sheriff rightly points out, he said, Scripture has no intention of canonizing a polite and restraintedly modulated tone for communicating with God, nor a restrained and emotionally inhibited temperament. If our public worship and private prayer censor out the expression of anger, pain, and accusation, then our spirituality is less than human. This also passes judgment on Old Testament spirituality without offering an alternative. This quote powerfully summarizes the significance of imprecatory psalms. We need to think seriously how to bring imprecatory psalms back to our public worship and private prayers.